Media Matters has a new analysis out on the issue of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and how much coverage it's getting on the nightly news and on cable news. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at the nightly news. As you can see here, for everybody listening on the live show, I'll describe what we're looking at. It's a chart, and you see that PBS was essentially the only network that covered it for the evening news. PBS had a total of 8 segments on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Everybody else, ABC, CBS, NBC, a grand total of 0 segments on the TPP. Now, you would think that this would be more important and it would merit more coverage because this is another economic trade deal, and this is definitely going to affect the jobs situation in America. This is definitely going to make it so that it's harder for a middle-class person to get a factory job, for example, a decent-paying factory job, for example. We already have so many of the factory jobs have already been shipped out because of NAFTA and GATT and CAFTA and the WTO. But now we're going further down that road, or at least the negotiations are trying to push us further down that road, and the media is completely absent. Only PBS did any coverage, and they did 8 segments. So now let's go ahead and look at cable news and how they covered it. Perhaps unsurprisingly, you had CNN did a little bit of coverage. I guess this one here goes by minutes. Yeah, this might go by minutes. It's not segments because we're talking over 60 for MSNBC, about 70 for MSNBC. I think it's minutes. The only person that covered it seriously was Ed Schultz on MSNBC, who did a very good job covering it. Nobody else on MSNBC covered it. Fox News had very little to no conversation about it. CNN, same thing. So what we see here is a media blackout. Now, I'm not saying that it's some sort of conspiracy where they all get together behind closed doors and they talk about how they're going to screw over the American people and it's a smoke-filled back room. No, that's not the way it works. But the way it works is the reason why this doesn't get much coverage is because the Democrats and the Republicans largely agree. When you have the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans on the same page, well, then the different media outlets can't run to their corners. So, for example, let's say Fox News covered this a lot. Well, what would they be saying? Nothing but glowing coverage nonstop because the Republican Party across the board is in favor of the TPP. MSNBC, for example, other than Ed Schultz, who's done a fantastic job on this, he's doing the right thing on this, and I give him a lot of credit. But everybody else, they're not really covering it because the establishment Democrats, including President Obama, they're in favor of the TPP. So to be critical of it is to essentially buck the party line, and very few people are willing to do that. The only one that did do it is Ed Schultz. And then forget it, with CNN, we all know how they function. They have a neutrality bias, and they have a pro-establishment bias. So what do? Well, let's give equal time to the Democrat, equal time to the Republican to get out their vapid talking points. And when both sides are saying the same thing on the TPP, why would you cover it in detail? And also, let's keep it real here. In order to really get into the specifics about this, you have to get very wonky and very nuanced and explain the different provisions and explain exactly how it's going to manifest in the real world. And a lot of the people on cable news aren't really bright enough or intellectual enough or well-versed enough in the subject matter to really do that. So the end result is we have President Obama asking for fast-track approval, the ability to negotiate all the specifics without going through Congress. We have the majority of both parties, the establishment of both parties giving it the thumbs up, and the people who are going to get screwed in the process are the American people. Again, I want to reiterate just a basic truism about the free trade deals so far. They were sold to us as if it would be fantastic for the U.S. economy, and the biggest effect on the U.S. economy from the first trade deals until today has been we've bled middle-class jobs from the country, and they've gone to Mexico, and they've gone to Bangladesh, and they've gone to places where instead of having to pay a unionized worker $25 an hour, now people can pay some 14-year-old kid 37 cents and give them no benefits and have no worker regulations or safety regulations. So this has been great for the elite class, and this has been terrible for your average worker and your average American. And the media, which is supposed to be the watchdog of the government and of actions like this that affect us all, totally asleep at the wheel, except for Ed Schultz.